Okay, this is going to have us live. So, hello, everybody. We're live, but I'm going to give them an introduction in a second. This is the weird part because I have to go into my own stream and share it.
Take your time.
All right, that's shared out. I'll get flipped all back around here. There I am.
There you are.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give you an actual introduction now. And as people come in, just let me get my chat set up here before I forget.
Sounds good.
Okay. So I'll give you an actual introduction for the audio, wave at my camera so I know where to cut it. And then we'll just go from there.
Sounds good.
Welcome, everybody, back to the After Dark Show. I'm Don Rogers. I am really excited tonight to have not one, but two guests. My guests tonight are a paranormal investigation couple from Williamsport, Maryland, and they are the founders of Viking Paranormal. Steve and Meredith, thank you so much for coming on the After Dark Show. I'm getting footnotes already from the wife. Thank you so much for coming on the After Dark Show. If you want to let everybody know who you guys are, and then we can roll into some easier questions and get started. But if you just want to introduce yourself and say hi to everybody and go from there.
Yeah. Your wife actually corrected you. My name's Brian, actually.
Oh,
Brian and Meredith.
I don't know where I got Steve.
I mean, sometimes I can be a Steve, I guess. I don't
Oh,
know.
I wrote Steve, and I have no idea why.
That's okay.
I am so sorry.
Well, you gave us a great introduction. Yes, so we are paranormal investigators from Maryland in the United States. We both have collectively like 20 years experience with the paranormal. My journey started at a very young age with experiencing the paranormal, like with my grandfather visiting me. And I started investigating when I was in middle school, and it just kind of took off from there. And then I met her, and her experiences are a lot more intense than mine. But yeah, we got together, decided to kind of form our own group, and we've been doing it ever since. Did you want to kind of tell them a little bit about you?
So I'm Meredith. I've been experiencing the paranormal from a very young age myself. From a very young age, I started to notice that I have some things that kind of set me different from everybody else in my circles. Never really figured out what was going on and what I was experiencing until I started to get a bit older. It wasn't until really high school that I even knew much about paranormal. And then in college, we had a team come out that was hired by our school that I observed, and that's when I learned about the fact that there's actually groups out there that investigate this kind of stuff. And then at that point is when I started to kind of learn a little bit more about my, I guess, abilities and such. And they've only grown from there. So,
Um, so when you guys first got together as a couple, like I know with me and my partner, we just kind of threw it all out there. Like this is how screwed up my life is. This is what I believe in. This is my belief system. And it's been one of my most successful relationships I've had. I can't lie. Um, like when you guys got together, did you just put it all out there? Like, hey, I believe in this. Do you want to check this out? What's your belief system in this? Like, were you guys on the same page about paranormal and paranormal investigation right off the hop, or
Yeah, yeah, we
a
did.
lot of things, not just
Yeah,
paranormal.
it was more than just the paranormal. Everything just kind of clicked into place. We were so much alike, it was almost scary, but in a good way. And we would watch all the same, paranormal or cryptid shows. We were all into that stuff, watching it. We always talked about how we did these things in the past, but we never really did anything together. And then one day we just kind of decided, let's do our own thing. So we started acquiring equipment, and And actually, I think what kind of turned the page for us is we found out that the property we live on is actually quite haunted itself. So we, as investigators now, we're constantly doing a lot of our YouTube videos that we put out now is actually investigations on our property. And we deal with a lot of different things. We actually just did a daytime Estes method today where we got a lot of activity on that just today, you know, and every day it's something on just our property. But we've been all over just in the few months that we've been doing this together with the group together. I mean, we've been to Antietam battlefields and Gettysburg and uh, where else? We've been all over. National Cemetery in Sharpsburg. We're just kind of all over the place throughout Maryland and Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. Yeah, our own town has got quite a history.
Um, that was something I noticed, and my partner pointed it out as well. Is you guys do something that most well, I've never seen it on TV. Is the daytime investigations like it? I don't want to say that the nighttime stuff is strictly pomp and circumstance to make the shows better. And that's where you guys kind of differ. Like you just kind of let it all hang out. It's the middle of the day. Is there anybody here? It's not all the spooky backdrop bullshit of the there was a time where the paranormal investigation shows got pretty cookie cutter, and I love that you guys are steering away from that and doing what works for you guys. What got you like started doing the daytime investigations? Because that's something I hadn't even seen.
Well, part of that was kind of like what time frame we had just to get to do things. You know, she works full time. I'm retired military. Especially when we started getting stuff on our property, it was like, well, it would be like kind of like when she was at work during the day, I would just go out and start having a conversation using like an Ovilus device or something. I started acquiring other equipment, you know, then those things started going off. So it's kind of that mixed with the fact that a lot of these places that we would go and do a daytime investigation, yeah, you have the only issue is you might deal with contamination from other people being around as opposed to nighttime. But what we would do is, you know, say for example, we did a daytime investigation in Antietam battlefield. Well, we would just go to an area where there really wasn't any people around or wait for people to kind of clear out. Then we would do our investigation or bits of our investigation, move to another area. And then, you know, if people did walk by, we would kind of pause what we were doing and wait for them to pass through. And it seems like it really doesn't matter what time of the day it is. You know, paranormal is going to be paranormal 24 hours a day. And honestly, I think we've gotten some of our best evidence in the middle of the day or first thing in the morning, as opposed to at night. Sometimes it does seem like nighttime things kick off a lot more. I don't know what it is about the nighttime that makes the paranormal more active, but it does seem like the nighttime is more active. But yeah, that's kind of what drew us to the doing the daytime stuff.
The big misconception that the paranormal only happens at night. That's not true. I mean, they're here all the time. They come and go as they, have interest in communicating. They have the energy to do so. And so you're right with the cookie cutter stuff. I think a lot of the times you see nighttime investigations is, a lot of different factors, whether there's the dark makes it more intense and more viewable, I guess, to the audience. And then you have your other aspects of it where, nighttime kind of heightens your other senses, your sense of touch and your hearing and such. So sometimes having that darkness and cutting off your vision, just like with the Estes experiment, you're heightening your other senses. The
That makes
spirits here on our property, they let us know a lot when they want to talk. And it doesn't matter what time of day. If they have something they want to tell us, they will do anything and everything to let us know that they want to talk.
Indeed.
yeah. I actually watched your Antietam investigation, and you guys were getting some amazing responses from the spirit talker. Like at one point, it said, "Like, did I scare you?" Have you ever had them be like kind of playful with you like that? Like, I know one of the things is like once they call you by name, you're kind of in with them. Like, have you had like the deliberate like, "Hey," calling you by name or being playful like that personal interaction?
She has.
Yeah, just actually in the last 2 days, I've heard my name 4 times.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's ironic because I literally just read that on another paranormal page on social media. Like once they start calling you by name, you know you've made it because they're accepting you. So that's pretty cool. To I don't even know why I thought to ask you that. It just kind of popped into my head. So,
As far
uh,
as playful goes, I actually put out a video on our YouTube recently. I have this little, we have a couple of REM pods, but I have this little mini pocket REM pod, and I had it set up on the back part of the property, and I'm pretty sure I was interacting with the child spirit because it probably 20 to 30 times what happened was every time I turned around, it would set off the REM pod. So it was like, all right, I'm gonna wait for him to turn around. Every time he turns around, I'm gonna touch this REM pod, and then I turn back around, it would stop. If you watch the video, it's really funny. It really is. It's like a child is playing a game with me, and just kind of what it seemed like.
um, you've mentioned a couple of pieces of equipment. Do you want to run through the basics that you would take on like a full on investigation? Because I know, like, I don't know. I know like the basic ones like an EMF meter and stuff, but like what are some of the specialized ones? Like I saw you guys had quite a bit of stuff on your page, and I'd love to like know what those are.
You want
So we
to cover
have,
this?
I mean, we have things that we use on our phones, actually, some apps that at first I was a little skeptical that they had actually worked until we started to get some responses and even some questions that kind of made me go, okay, maybe these things really are legit. Um, so we have Necrophonic, Necrometer, and Spirit Talker on our phones. These are things that we paid money for, and they seem to work really, really well. The Necrometer seems to be my favorite. I think we get the best evidence from that. We do have a little to-go kit that Brian just put together. It's got like cat balls, an EMF reader, just kind of like a investigation kit on the go, something we want to just grab real
It's
quick.
my little ghostly go bags. I'll try to show you the best I can. So it's got two EMF readers, flashlight, the pocket REM pod. It's got cat balls, SB7, and a digital recorder just in this little pack right here.
We do have music box, which I just got him for his birthday coming up this week. He
I've been wanting that.
got me a really nice REM pod and some other stuff from a local friend who has a big paranormal group, Elite Paranormal. They're out of Falling Waters, West Virginia.
We got
We have our camera.
we got the IR camera with multiple IRs on it.
So we do have a lot of high-end stuff, but a lot of times we just use our phones, or for me, I go a lot off of my own senses.
She picks up
Um,
a lot.
so say it's like day one for somebody, like they're just getting that weird feeling that something's around them and they want to start doing a bit of their own investigation. What like basic pro tips would you give somebody to even check it out around their own house? Like, would you do it at night? What apps would you recommend for a beginner? What would you do to set up a secret, see if you can get some type of response?
Yeah, so if they're feeling like there's something that's trying to get their attention, they should just go ahead and try to communicate if they're willing to do so, obviously. They don't have to necessarily wait for nighttime. If they're getting hints that something's trying to make contact, then they should just go ahead and try to engage if they're willing. I would recommend, if they have their phones on them, download one of the apps I just mentioned, the Necrometer, Necrophonic, or the Spirit Talker, one of those. I think you can get the Spirit Talker for free initially. So if they're not willing to pay the money, they can certainly use the Spirit Talker right off the bat and be able to start communication.
We've really tested out those apps too, because like she said, at first we were very skeptical. An app on your phone, you don't think it's really going to play out too well. But when you're like asking questions in your head and getting direct answers back on those devices, I mean, that really tells you something. And when you're getting answers on these devices that you just cannot deny, and it's referencing things, about history on the property or something, again, you just like, you can't say, okay, there's no way that this app on my phone is just going to make up this random nonsense that's going to fit specifically to where I'm at right now.
When we were doing the Espies earlier, we had two different apps that we were running. One that I was doing the essays on,
Hmm.
and then a different app that was coming in with text responses. And I was hearing it at the same time you were getting it on your phone,
Right,
matching
exactly.
completely at the same time. So we're getting the same responses on both of those devices.
Yeah, so where you're visually seeing a response and she was verbally hearing it in her ears from the spirit itself.
That is just wild. I totally believe it. I've had a fair bit of paranormal stuff going in my own life. That's what's got me so interested in it. Um, you had said you had a lot of paranormal experiences when you were younger, Meredith. Are you able to share one or two to because I've just noticed a correlation with people that have had like NDEs or usually if you've had an NDE, you have a paranormal experience or vice versa, or you get into this sort of field. And I was just wondering if that's relatable with you as well. Like, can we hear about your paranormal experiences and have you ever had like an NDE or anything?
You might have to explain what the NDE is because I don't know what you mean by
Uh,
that.
that's experience.
Oh no. Well, I take that back. Yeah, I went into respiratory failure when I was like 20, 21 years old. Anaphylactic episode, and I was in the ED and went into respiratory failure. So I had to be put on oxygen and then given injections and stuff like that. Um, but I think my experience, the biggest experience I had as a child was when I was in third grade. We actually went to a field trip in Gettysburg, and the tour guide weirdly asked all of us to lay down on the battlefield. None of the chaperones or teachers seemed to oppose to this idea. So, being third graders, we did what the adults said and we lay down. As soon as we laid down on the battlefield, I blacked out and I started seeing and hearing what I would say would be like war sounds and visions. Like I was seeing and hearing the battle, and like everything around me was kind of whooshing. I couldn't hear the tour guide talking. Like I could hear like this mumbling. Like I knew he was talking somewhere in my head. I knew he was talking, but I couldn't actually make out what he was saying because I was just consumed by all these sounds and sights that I was seeing. At some point, the tour guide had told us to get up off the ground, and I didn't hear it. So I'm still kind of stuck in this blackout phase, seeing all this stuff. And one of my friends had to shake me out of it. I held on to that story for most of my life. When I started trying to tell people about it, they all kind of looked at me like I was bonkers. It wasn't really until I got closer to the age I am now that he believed me. And I had one other person that was on that field trip with me that I connected with several years ago, and he told me he had similar experiences as well. So we ended up having a team back then, and we went to places like Waverly and Eastern State Penitentiary and investigated. That group fizzled out years and years ago, but knowing that somebody else had experienced something similar kind of solidified that for me. And it was just kind of, ever since then, I mean, I've had so many experiences I could write a book.
Um, sorry, I just kind of gapped out there. Uh, shoot. Wow, I just fully gapped out. Somebody asked me a question in the audience. Uh, oh, wow, I am just blanking right out right now. Um, so during the Antietam one, I'm just going to circle back to that. I just completely lost my train of thought. Um, during the Antietam one, the EMF meter actually turned completely off. Have you guys ever had that happen before, where your equipment is just completely shut off? Like I know they can interact with the cat balls and stuff.
Yeah. Uh,
Like,
uh, Recently, we noticed that our batteries have been really drained out pretty quickly too. That seems to be a new big thing that we noticed.
These thing and the app kept shutting off. The headphones were shutting
Oh
off.
yeah, today the headphones kept shutting off and the app kept shutting off.
The noise canceling setting came off
Hmm.
for headphones too at one
So
point.
it does seem to mess with equipment sometimes. Yeah,
eh, I actually found what I was going to say there. Sorry about that.
that's
Um,
okay.
what is your guys' understanding of like life after death and the energies of life? Because it's something I've been looking into a lot of myself. Like, the makeup of our reality. And I've come to my personal understanding, and I just want to know where you guys are, is like we are a conscious energy in a physical form, right? And once this physical form stops functioning in the manner it's meant to or is interrupted by something, the energy that is us isn't going to stop. It's just no longer going to be in here. Is
Yeah.
that fairly good explanation of what you guys are
I,
trying to get is like that gap? Because like we can't perceive things for the most part, most of us can't, of these energies once they're out of these forms. Is that the gap that you guys are trying to bridge, I guess?
yeah, I mean, I can agree with that, you know, in a way.
Some scenarios, energy kind of like once the body dies, the energies kind of dissipate. They might go into other areas. They might embed themselves in a property that they were attached to, or an
Yeah.
item or something like that. They may even dissipate into various areas. They might just kind of almost like a mist. They just kind of spread out, land wherever. I think in other scenarios, especially those that die tragically or with unresolved issues. I think they kind of stay in some sort of mass form to kind of do whatever they can to resolve whatever it is that they're trying to resolve. So I think there's different, outcomes once the body has died. But yeah, I do believe that those energies are a conscious form and they do hang around for years and years and years to come.
I also believe there's the variation too. There is like most paranormal investigators would probably agree with the whole um there's the residual kind of haunting. So, something where it's just playing like a record over and over again. And then
Yeah.
there's the intelligent haunting where, where they know what they're doing. And I only say that because I've experienced it firsthand. So I've seen it. I've seen a residual and I've seen an intelligent haunting. So I've seen the difference. I know there is a difference. If there's something else beyond those two, maybe there is, I don't know. But I can tell you that those two definitely exist.
Um, and you guys were talking about Gettysburg and Antietam. Did you guys have a lot? Did you experience a lot of that residual haunting or energy at those sites? Because the horrible, horrible things happened there. Like you were talking about, oh, what is it? Blood. Oh shoot, at
Bloody Lane.
Antietam, Bloody Lane. Like
Yeah.
1,000 people stacked up there. Like there's got to be some type of like your
Well,
EMF going nuts.
yeah, it was definitely a mix there, but I think the ones we um interacted with the most were more of an intelligent.
We even had one gave us a name, Morris.
Morris, the one we spoke to, Morris, he was one that was following us around and talking with us.
He even said at one point, "I can't keep you safe."
Yeah,
And that was at Antietam.
that was at Antietam. Yeah.
I think what happened to me at Gettysburg was a residual. I think I probably came into contact with some sort of pocket of residual energy that kind of just jolted all these visions and sounds and such.
Mhm.
That actually makes sense. Like you kind of crossed into their energy and it just sort of overlapped, I guess you would say.
Collide, yeah.
Yeah, lie. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Um, so we kind of jokingly said about somebody getting abducted by aliens earlier. Have you guys had
Yeah.
any other paranormal experiences? Because I know a lot of the times they do go hand in hand, where you have with like past live energy and then you'll end up seeing a UFO or having an ET contact experience. Have you guys had any other paranormal things go on in your lives except like beyond ghost investigation, I guess?
I can tell you that I would love to meet Bigfoot. I would love to. I talk about it all the time. I would have a personal relationship with Bigfoot if I could.
Up until he rips your head off.
Up until he rips my head off. But even still, I'd be like, well, we're cool, right? But
Yeah.
no, I haven't had a personal ET experience. I have definitely seen things in the sky that I can't explain. I'd
Yeah.
classify as a UFO.
During 2020, when the emissions were really, really low, the skies were just clearer than I've ever seen in my entire life. And I remember standing out in the backyard, letting the dogs out. It'd be 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I just remember just lights in the sky. You could tell they weren't like satellites because the way that they were just completely stationary, and how then all of a sudden they would just kind of zip to another area of the sky. I never really thought I'd believe in that kind of stuff. I'm somebody who has to see and experience to believe it. Just, like the, ghosts and spirits. I've experienced it, I've seen it, I've heard it, so I believe in it. With, aliens, I'd say I would probably have to experience it to believe it. But those things I saw in the sky during 2020 definitely started piquing my interest.
I definitely believe there's got to be other life forms out there in the universe.
And Earth is such a crap show. Of course, we'd be interesting for them to come
Yeah,
check out.
so that they're definitely watching us like, oh my God, what the hell is this?
I always think if there was aliens driving by, it'd be like that scene in Family Vacation. Chevy Chase's roll them up, like just go, let's
Yeah.
go. Lock.
No doubt, we're the hood for sure.
Yeah.
They'd have their hubcaps stolen if they passed their Earth.
Oh, don't have anything chrome through here. Uh, so, what investigation would you say that stood out most for like the in your face, like um, basically seeing? I'm not going to say corporeal, but seeing like a mist or something like that right in front of you. Have you guys had any of those experiences where it's like on camera and then you look to the left of the camera or something and it's literally right there?
Yeah, we've got stuff on our trail cam. We haven't seen it with our own eyes, but we actually what started making us realize that our property had some activity was we had a trail cam that I had purposely set up to look at wildlife. I wanted to see what kind of wildlife I had. There's like 32 acres of wooded area behind our house, and not realizing we were going to get something else, we ended up seeing a full-bodied child apparition sitting on a big rock back behind there. And that's what kind of got us like, okay, there's definitely something going on here. Other than that, I mean, I've seen things. Haven't had cameras out. Like it seems like things kind of find me more than I find them. I've seen full body apparitions of Civil War soldiers. I actually got slammed into a wall by a shadow figure at Waverly. So I mean, I have seen my fair share, but I usually don't have a camera up to try to grab it other than that trail cam.
I've seen a captured shadow person at a asylum that's in Maryland back in middle school. That was on one of old school videotape. I unfortunately don't have that videotape anymore. That was over 20 years ago. And then the same thing, uh, apparitions at Penhurst Asylum in Pennsylvania. This was several years ago too. I had it on my old cell phone, captured on my old cell phone, which of course broke years ago. So I don't. So all the good stuff I've captured in the past, I don't have anymore, of course.
Do you guys have any big ones coming up, like an asylum or a jail or anything? Or what are your next investigations going to be?
We're looking at going to a haunted lock house. I don't know if you're familiar with what lock house is. Imagine it like a lighthouse, but it's for so the canals that run through in the United States. That's how they used to transport like goods and stuff, like during the Civil War and otherwise, normal trading and stuff back in a long time ago. They would have these locks built into the canals where that way they could keep track of who's coming through, what they have, and so on and so forth. So they would have these houses ever so often built, and the keepers would live there either by themselves or with their families. So there's still a few of them left around. We did a daytime investigation recently, then that one was pretty active. But we're gonna try to stay overnight. We actually are gonna get access and stay overnight at one of the more haunted lock houses here probably sometime before the month is out. We got new sleeping bags so we can stay the night there.
That sounds awesome. I will be looking forward. I'm getting another note here. Peterborough lift lock. If you're ever in Ontario, we actually in Canada they have lift locks all through Ontario. And
Okay.
Canadian Spinja actually grew up in an area where they ran the lift locks through.
We know her. Yeah, we know
Yeah,
her.
yeah, that's my wife.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we talk about chickens all the time.
Baby dinosaurs. Sorry, I'm going to nerd out for a second. We were actually out in Rocky Mountain House for part of our honeymoon, and we saw a blue heron. And as soon as I looked up, I just went, "That looks like a pterodactyl." And then the next day, she saw on Meredith's post about her tiny dinosaurs, and it's like, "Oh, of course." And it's like, "Yeah, we have an interview coming up, so let's talk about tiny dinosaurs and ghosts."
Yeah, we'll do
While you're at
another podcast about dinosaurs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You were actually. It's funny that you were mentioning about Bigfoot. I don't know. I have a picture of it. It's on the group of photos on my Facebook. We were strolling along the same area and saw what looked like a Bigfoot teepee. You know how they are known to push over.
Yeah.
It was literally maybe 30, 40 feet off of the trail, and it looked like whole trees had been pushed over and made into a teepee.
Oh, that's exciting.
I
Yeah,
want to mention about what I found on the Rocky Mountain House tourist brochure.
just pop in.
Okay,
There,
all
hold
right.
on. She's just gonna join for a second.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I heard you talking about Bigfoot. Hi. And so how we even ended up at Rocky Mountain House, we were looking, we wanted to see the mountains, but we didn't want to go to Banff for the really touristy areas. Like we were looking for like maybe a little bit north. And so I checked out Rocky Mountain House and I looked at their tourist guide. It is actually Bigfoot country. And
Nice.
yeah, and like it's actually acknowledged in their tourist guide, like be respectful of the area and this is their place and be respectful of them. So
Awesome.
I thought I'd pop in and mention that because Dawn was talking about seeing, like potential evidence and like they actually acknowledge that they're there. So
That's exciting. We're gonna have to pay a visit then, I think.
Yeah.
oh yeah. If you ever decide to come north of the border, like we're like way out west, but in Ontario, I know of a few different places that I've heard rumors, and I've never investigated myself. I've never had anybody. I moved to Alberta, and then I get connected with people in Ontario. So
It's actually interesting. On a side note, one property we're looking at buying up in northern Alberta, if you look at the large portion of Sasquatch sightings, if you can pull up a Sasquatch sighting map on Google, it's literally right where we're trying to buy property.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You better get lots of trail cams.
I'll go back to my spinning wheel and just enjoy everything. It's
If
great
I-
to meet you guys.
Yeah. And congratulations on your marriage.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I ever quit the paranormal community, I would definitely be into the Bigfoot research.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I love about the paranormal community is being in I don't know what you want to call it, experience or truth or paranormal / everything community with my podcast. The ghost hunter community, I don't mean to pigeonhole, is probably one of the more accepting sectors of this entire community. And I commend you guys for that because everybody else in this community, I'm kind of having my own little pissy about this, seems like they don't want to talk about anything. They just want to prove each other wrong. Where you guys, as investigators, and a lot of the investigators I've come across, there never seems to be a lot of shade thrown at each other. It's like, oh shit, well, let me see. Maybe I can help you figure that out. There's not
Yeah,
as
that's
much.
a lot of love.
Yeah, you guys have it right. Like your sector of the paranormal or truther community seem to have it right to like not be out to try to prove each other wrong. You guys compare notes. You talk to each other. You share experiences instead of going, oh, that can't be true. Like you guys actually listen to each other, and I wish more of the truther community and the experiencer community would take a note from the paranormal investigation community because you guys seem to have it right.
Yeah.
Right. That was just my little.
Oh, thank you for that. We appreciate that.
Um, I am so far off track now.
That's okay.
Um, so you said your experiences started really young, Meredith. Like, at what age were your first ones that you can really remember? If we can go over that, like,
I mean, I think it was pretty young. I can't say what age it started. I think it was just kind of something that essentially born with. Um, I don't know. I mean, I've always kind of felt like the oddball. I've always kind of heard and seen things that I couldn't really understand. I never really knew that other people around me weren't experiencing the same things. I just kind of thought that was the norm. I didn't really have anybody telling me otherwise. But then that whole thing in third grade, it was just so intense that I kept it to myself for decades. But it started pretty young. Seems to be something I was born with.
and did you ever? I know some people do, and some people wouldn't tempt it, but like try to get spirits to do things like move things or like, hey, can you? You know what I mean? Like, there's the interaction with the cat balls or set off the EMF meter, but there's also I've seen other investigators try to get them to do like, oh, can you knock that over? Like actual physical movement of things. Have you guys experimented with that or had any
We
turning
have,
off?
we don't really get a whole lot of response back with that. I think that's one of the pet peeves I have with a lot of the investigators you see on TV and stuff is they're antagonizing the spirits. Like, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, I want you to that. I guess I don't really like doing that kind of stuff because I feel like I want to establish some sort of connection with them on their own comfort level. I don't want to like force them and kind of make them do circus acts to perform for the camera, that kind of thing. I will sometimes in my head, I'll be like, poke Brian or, touch his shoulder, something like that, just because I want to see if, they can actually understand me and or, want to interact.
I didn't know any of this, by the way.
The point.
Well,
If
yeah,
you
if
go,
she
oh
said,
my God,
like,
something just touched me, I'm like, yeah, yeah, to do that.
oh, so you have a Brian meter? Yeah, go fuck with him. See,
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I did recently have one grab my leg,
And
but
I was not responsible for that.
I was wondering if she was responsible for that. It
no.
grabbed me pretty hard.
Well,
I
that's
can't
one way
take
to do it.
credit for that.
I'll keep that in mind. I have a teenager that's been off his game lately. Maybe I'll use him as bait.
There you go.
Unplug the TV or something.
Hey, steal his phone, hide his phone from him or something.
um, do you guys want to talk about your channel and your socials and stuff and like what you guys have on there so everybody knows what to look for and the best episodes to check out? Because you guys are already getting a lot of content, a lot of followers, and a lot of stuff on your socials. So if you want to kind of run people through what you've got going on.
He's the online manager.
Well, I got my Facebook, which I post a lot on, and then from that we have the Viking Cat Paranormal page. We have our YouTube channel, which I think has like 90 subscribers now. We just started all this, a few months ago, so it's not too bad for starting out. A lot of the episodes, so to speak, on the YouTube channel, most of them are from our property, our homestead, which is like because, like I said, I mean that's where a lot of stuff's been going on, and that's where I can get most of the stuff. And a lot of more of the videos tend to be just me because I have more of the time to do it than she does. But we're gonna start. We want to start doing some live investigations on there. So like when we do the lock house overnight, I'd like to do a live investigation with that. And I like the idea of doing live investigations to have people kind of maybe other investigators or other people kind of be involved too. So you could be like, maybe they see something we don't see and they could point it out, or maybe they have an idea, maybe you should try this or try that, or ask this question or ask that question. I just want people to be more involved. You know what I mean?
can't get
Yeah,
accused of
I
manipulating the audio.
Right, what she said. We don't that way people can watch live, and we don't nobody can accuse us of saying, well, maybe they made this sound, or maybe they made this, that way people are involved and they can actually see what's happening live, you know what I mean?
I dig that idea, and so does Spinja. She's like, I want to watch it live. Um, and you guys can take whatever time you want to think about it. If you guys do decide to do that, I can co-stream it onto my channel. And I actually just hit 250 subscribers. It's no big number, but if you guys want extra streaming to get it out there, I'd
Hey,
be
that'd
happy.
be great. Yeah, the more the
Love to,
merrier.
love to share it out with you guys because I think that would be incredibly interesting. I've never seen an actual live paranormal investigation, so
Yeah,
if you
neither
guys
of us. That's kind of we want to be different. We want to be different. Not to get followers and not to be famous, but to do things differently and see if it actually makes a difference in the community.
that's exactly why I started my show. Is I had a weird experience. I won't get into it. It involves a whole secret space program, but basically it made me realize like if one thing like that is real, then there's a lot of things in this reality that we didn't think are real or we don't pay attention to that are actually going on around us. And
Right,
I think we just for the most part, people that just have their 9 to 5 life just drive by a lot of what's going on in their own reality. And that involves the paranormal, ghosts, aliens, UFOs, UAPs. And until you have an experience, you don't really click out and like turn your head to the left or right and see what's going on beside you.
right,
You-
exactly.
you're in that. I was in that lane like until last year. I didn't believe what I knew about the paranormal a year ago was I'm pretty sure I saw a UFO in the 90s and I believed ghosts were real. My understanding of it is so far beyond that now, and it's because I look to the left or the right. And I'm glad you're encouraging people to do the same because, like, if you don't look outside of the normal, then you're just accepting the answer you're given, right? And
Right,
even the whole paranormal means beyond, right? Beyond normal.
right.
It's not a bad thing. It's just something we're not used to. So paranormal is a wonderful thing to look into, and I absolutely love that you guys are doing that. On another note, though, I just noticed you guys have very sharp hats that I'm going to have to order myself one of if you have extras.
Well, we
Yeah,
just got these in, but I can make some more, and we can put them up on, and then whatever we make from them, we can use to get some more equipment.
that is a great idea. Um, sorry, I'm just checking if there's a question from the audience. Definitely have somebody in charge with a camera feed. Oh, we've just got people chiming in that they would love to see a joint broadcast and a live investigation. So there's obviously interest in the idea. So you guys,
Well, absolutely. Well, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. If you subscribe now, you'll be able to get notified when we do our first live broadcast of our because that investigation most likely is going to be this month, and we're getting close to the end of the month. So, if you subscribe to our channel now, that way you'll get notified when we do our live investigation.
yeah. Are you also going to have it as an event on your Facebook?
Yeah, I will post it on there.
Yeah. Jason H in the chat said, "How did the name Viking Cat come about?"
It's kind of a random but funny story. So both Meredith and I uh come from actual Vikings. So like my greatest grandfather is the Viking King Harold Bluetooth. So he actually the name Bluetooth. So Bluetooth, wireless Bluetooth. That's where the name came from. But he was a Viking king. So, I'm from Norway and she was from Scandinavia. So, but we were into that kind of Norse side of things too. With that being said, so the Viking kind of was already there, and then we both love cats, and we have a black cat
Name Loki.
named Loki. Go
Oh,
figure. Another Norse type name. So I don't know. It just kind of came to me when Viking Cat just kind of came together.
That's how we started talking, and I had a really lame pickup line when I first saw him.
Yeah.
And I saw that he had Viking stuff on his Facebook, and I was like, "Oh, so are you Norwegian, Scandinavian, Slavic, Russian? What kind of Viking are you?" That was my pickup line. Just trying to get him to-
She dug the Viking, so it works too. It works a couple different ways.
Breaker. It
That
worked.
I'm just running some parallels here. So you just said you guys met on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's where I met my wife.
Hey, you know what? It worked, didn't it?
Don't knock it, right?
No.
You
It's
never
the
know what
best
you find on Facebook.
relationship I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry. I just saw the similarity there. I was like, that's really funny because we met on like a random singles and mingles group. Neither of us really looking for anything, and it's like, yeah, I just want to hang out. And I had a cheesy pickup line too. Mine was, I like campfires. And then that night she came to my campfire. So
Oh, there you
that,
go.
yeah, sometimes easy is best. Just lowball it in as easy as you can and just see where it goes.
Plus, she had tattoos too, and I liked that.
Yeah. So, um, so unless you guys have anything else you really want to put in there or talk about right now, unless no, I thought she said something.
Yeah, ask them his photography business.
Oh yes, I meant to ask you as well about you have a photography business.
Yeah, it's not really running right now, but yes, I do.
Yeah, and like I guess that would put you in line with knowing which cameras take the best pictures in the dark and stuff too. So that would kind of like really go hand in hand with the paranormal
It
investigation. Is
does.
that
It does. And Meredith's really into photography too, and she's really great at photography. So both of us being into photography plays helps a lot into the paranormal side of things too. Having that experience and knowledge.
yeah? No, I love that, and it's something her and I are talking about getting into. Like just the whole. You actually were one of the groups that got her following the paranormal investigation again. She actually used to watch it with her son when he
Mm-hmm.
was young because Scooby Doo was too fake and all of the monsters, right? Like she didn't want to teach her son about the paranormal through Scooby Doo, so she used to sit down like a single mom and would watch the ghost hunter shows, and it's like, okay, see how this is this, and like she showed
Yeah.
him the real world stuff. So like it's actually even valuable information for kids because it teaches you like, you know, this is going on, but it's nothing to be afraid of for the most part too.
Right.
Yeah, our kid
And
is really into it too, and he's 6.
that's awesome. And my running joke on the end of that was always, yeah, the thing that Scooby Doo taught us is the bad guys are always a human.
And
Yeah,
it's true.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's always the truth, isn't it?
yeah. I would much rather hang out with energies for the most part, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd rather hang out with the paranormal than people sometimes.
Yeah. Well, thank you you guys so much for making time and coming out.
Thanks for having us.
I'm so sorry I gapped out so many times. I don't know what was going on tonight.
That's okay.
I'm still in wedding brain, maybe she just said. uh, but thank you so much. And everybody, please go over to Viking Cat Paranormal on YouTube and on Facebook and subscribe. I know John H. already did. And Marshall Martin and Karen Holton, thank you guys for being here too. I haven't quite figured out how to get off of this stream without just ending the call. So I'm just going to end it and I'll message you guys in a second on Facebook. All right. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for
Thanks
being
for
here.
having us.
All right.